টাটা। Guys, good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, Dinesh.
Okay. So today, I hope you all remembered, right? In the previous session, we discussed about what we have covered in the previous session. In S3, what we have covered?
Versioning.
Versioning we have covered. After that, we have covered one more topic also. What's the topic?
Event notification through SMS.
Yes, correct. Even notification we have done by integrating with the SNS. Okay, that is a PubSub concept we have covered, like publisher and the subscriber concept we have done. The practical implementation, one demo also we have seen with respect to that topic. So today we will go for what we can go for. We can go for S3, and we have some some theoretical topic that I'm going to cover today. So not a practical session, not much practical. So today I'm going to focus on some theoretical topic with respect to your AWS, Amazon console. So we'll try to understand your practical session, not practical session, only a theoretical part that I will cover today. Okay. It is important why I'm covering the theoretical topic. The reason because in the interview people might ask you, right, what are the the theoretical one? Maybe you can expect the question. For that reason I'm covering, right? So the first topic in S3, what I can cover, the storage class in S3. Storage class in S3. So okay, let us understand that one. But before that, I need to show something. See, I will go for EFS, Elastic File System, a file storage service. In that, when you create a file system, and maybe I can click on this customize part. Here also we have seen the storage class, right? We have one standard and also the one zone. There are two storage class we have discussed. One is standard and one zone. So if someone is asking what is standard, you have to immediately reply like your data will be, the replica of data is available in different availability zone. So you can store your data across the multiple availability zone. It's nothing but a standard. If your data is only within a single availability zone, you don't have that much money and all. In that case, you can go for one zone and all. And again, suppose if there is a problem with respect to one availability zone, we cannot get the data from our other availability zone, right? Because you have selected the one zone. So this is something we already covered with respect to your storage class. With respect to storage class in EFS, Elastic File System. And but in S3 also we have a storage class. In S3 also we have a storage class. Again, there are many classification inside the storage class. Again, everything I'm not going to cover, only a few portion will try to understand with respect to interview point of view. And then we will see the different classification with respect to S3 itself. Right. So 1 minute. Okay. See, the first storage class for what? So for different use cases, right? Whenever if we, based on your use case, we can select one of the storage class. So what I can do, I can classify the storage class into two first. First one is S3 standard. Here also we have a standard and also we have a glacier. S3 glacier. So there are two types that I'm classifying. One is S3 standard storage class and the S3 glacier storage class. Now the question is, when we should go for standard storage class and the glacier storage class? Whenever you are thinking like I'm going to access my data frequently. Did you remember in EBS also we have seen two classification. One is the cold data and another one is called throughput optimized STD. So when you access your data infrequently, then which one you have to go for? You have to go for cold data. When you are accessing your data frequently, then you will go for throughput optimized. The same way, for frequently accessing objects, here you are not going to access the data. Yes, of course, you are going to frequently access the objects. When I say objects, it might be a file or maybe an image or maybe a video. 1 minute, guys. So if you are accessing your object frequently, then which storage class you guys can select? You guys can go for standard. Standard. It means that suppose in a fraction of millisecond that I need to access my objects and all. It is better to go for S3 standard. Thereby immediately you can access the objects. Immediately we can access the object. But when you guys can go for infrequent storage class, like suppose your object that you are not going to frequently access, but be infrequent, rarely that you are going to access the object, right? Then you can select this one, S3 Glacier, not immediately if you require the particular object. If you need your object immediately should be appear. Immediately, if you should appear, then you can go for. I'm not thinking like I'm not going to frequently access my data. So then you can go for S3 Glacier. So this is the two major classification with respect to your storage class. So S3 standard, I can say it is a default. S3 standard, it is the default actually. It's a default storage class for S3 object. So when you create a S3, right, you have to select the storage class. That time S3 is the default class, default storage class. So it is designed for frequently accessed data that requires maybe a low latency with a high throughput. Whenever you are focusing on high throughput, then you can go for this one. When I say throughput means, you know, right, amount of data that we are transferring per second. It's nothing but a throughput. So S3 plays a vital role with respect to low latency and the high throughput. And if you ask me, then I should go for Glacier. Glacier, it is rarely accessed, but still, you know, needs to be retained, correct? But still needs to be retained, but for a longer or for rarely accessed. So, and you know, right? So it will vary based on the time and cost also. But again, let's not focus on that one. So only we have a two classification. One is S3 standard, S3 Glacier. Any questions so far?
No, sir.
So in the interview, people might ask, can you tell me two major classification of S3 storage class? One is the S3 standard and another one is S3 Glacier. So when you will go for standard, when you are accessing your object frequently. S3 Glacier, infrequent accessing an object. And S3 standard, it's the default storage. It's the default storage. But still we have many classification. We'll go one by one, give you some time. That time I will tell you, but as of now, only focus on these two things. Can I quickly confirm any doubts so far?
Not finished.
Okay. Right. So remember, in EBS, we have a cold data and hard data. And in EFS, we have a standard and one zone. In S3, we have a standard and Glacier. That's it. Okay. This is one topic. So where you can find in the management console, let me tell you. So suppose I will create an S3 and click on S3. And we can already have a bucket actually. Let me delete this bucket. Let me delete this bucket. Delete. I can create a new bucket. So when you create a new bucket, object ownership, block, right, stream burner tags, default encryption, nothing is available. Okay, let me go above and give some bucket name. Bucket -27 February, like that I'm giving. Come below, click on create bucket. Then after clicking on the bucket, you can click on this. And here you can click on the properties part. And can we check, is there any storage class here? Any storage class? No. Here, no. So we'll go to the management. Is there any storage class here? No. Metrics. I think storage class analysis, not this one. Bucket policy here we have. That is that. Okay, 1 minute. Let me check. Go to object present in the bucket, select the object and go to the action button. Okay. So let me see the actions. We can see here. I think so. Yes. Click on the properties part. Yeah. Here we have a storage class and we have a many option with respect to storage class. As of now, let me focus on only standard and another one is glacier. So you can see many glacier here. Glacier instant retrieval, glacier flexible retrieval, glacier deep archive. Like that, we have a many option. But let's stick to two words. What is standard? What is glacier? So here you have to select what kind of storage class. Can you see here? Amazon S3 offers a range of storage class designed for different use case, and also it is varying based on the S3 pricing also. See, so if I go here they have given S3 standard and sometime I need to go for intelligent tiering and they have many more options. S3 standard IA and S3 one zone IA, like that they have given many options. And also they have given the cost also. So whenever if you select first particular storage, then you have to go for the cost also. That's a matter, right? They have given what kind of rate that you are going to pay. So if you take S3 standard, per GPU you are paying $0.023. First 50 terabyte for a month. After that 450 terabyte per month. So like that, the rate also it's varying. But again, no interview, people will ask you this question and all. Only thing is you have to remember standard and glacier, and we'll come back later. So to understand more. Fine. So remember how to select the storage class. For that, you need to go to the bucket and where you need to, when you upload the file, right? Below that you can see storage class under the properties. Everyone clear with this? Can I move to the next one? Everyone clear with this?
Yes, Dinesh.
Okay. Then the next one is, what is life cycle rules in S3? It is also another topic related to your S3. What is life cycle rule? Life cycle rule. It is also we have covered actually in EFS itself. Did you remember? We basically move your data from standard to standard IA and standard IA to standard. It is actually, we are already covered. Maybe let me show you once again, because if I tell you, then only you will remember once again. Click on this EFS. And when I create a new file system and click on customize, we already see life cycle management. Life cycle management. In the same way, in S3 also we have a life cycle management. So here, did you remember we have transition into IA? IA means infrequent access. Suppose if you are not touching your data for 30 days, then we will move that into the infrequent access. Suppose if you are touching in the first day, we will come out of the infrequent access to the standard. Thereby you can able to save your money. Did you remember this life cycle management we have covered in EFS? Can you confirm, guys? Did you remember this one? Life cycle management. We have covered in EFS. Yes, no.
Yes, yes, finished.
Okay. Same way in S3 also, we have this life cycle management. So open the bucket. Open the bucket and click on this. So I think it is available under the management life cycle rule. So use life cycle rule to define action that you want to Amazon S3 to take during an object's lifetime, such as transitioning object to another storage class, archiving them, or deleting them after a specific period of time. So here you can be able to create the life cycle rule. Suppose mostly life cycle rule in S3, it is to transitioning objects from one storage class to another storage class. Thereby you can be able to save a lot of money to transfer a data or object from one storage class to another storage class, or sometime I want to delete the object automatically. I want to deleting the object automatically if you don't need anymore. That time also I can go for this life cycle rule that you guys can define in S3. நீங்க S3 ல போய்ட்டு life cycle rule define பண்ணலாம். என்னன்னு, எனக்கு ஒருவேளை நான் இந்த டேட்டாவை பயன்படுத்தாமே இருந்தா இந்த இடத்துல இருந்து infrequent accessக்கு மூவ் பண்ணிடு. ஒருவேளை இவ்வளவு நாளைக்கும் நான் பயன்படுத்தாமே இருக்கேன் அப்படின்னா என்ன பண்ணிடு, நீ டெலிட்டே பண்ணிடு அப்படின்னு நம்ம சொல்லலாம். we can able to define. சரி, so suppose let's say you have an application. Let me take one application we have. That application stores images and maybe videos in S3. What you have done? You have stored an images and videos in S3 and bucket. Okay, 1 minute. Right, better listen. Suppose you have an application. Now what you guys can do, click on create life cycle rule. Create a life cycle rule. Here we have to define the life cycle rule, right? Maybe life cycle rule. I can give some name also. And then choose the rule scope. Limit the scope of this rule using one or more filters or apply to all objects in the bucket. You know, basically you are creating a bucket inside the S3 only. Inside the S3, you can create a many buckets, right? Inside the bucket only, you are uploading your images also. You are uploading your images, photos, objects that you are uploading. Now, what I am doing, whether for the bucket, you have many objects, right? Are you going to apply the life cycle rule for all the object or only for particular object or particular bucket? Like that, it means a particular file. So suppose if I want to apply the bucket, if you want to apply all the object which is in the bucket, where I need to apply the life cycle rule. You have to select this one. Now, what kind of rule action that you want to take? Move current version of the object between the storage class. I am transitioning object between the storage class. Now, I choose suppose என்னுடைய standard IA என்னது, infrequent access data, right? Once in a month, within a millisecond, access 30 days minimum storage duration. Infrequently access data once a month, you are with millisecond access 30 days the minimum storage duration. நான் என்ன பண்றேன், 30 நாள் 30 நாள் என் ஸ்டோரேஜ் கிளாஸ்ல நான் டேட்டாவை டச்சே பண்ணணும்னு வச்சுக்க. 30 நாள் நான் டேட்டாவை டச்சே பண்ணனா நீ என்ன பண்ணிடு, இன்ஃப்ரீக்வெண்ட் ஆக்சஸ்க்கு மூவ் பண்ணிடுன்னு சொல்றேன். இன்ஃப்ரீக்வெண்ட் ஆக்சஸ்க்கு மூவ் பண்ணிடுன்னு சொல்றேன். ஸோ அப்போ நம்ம இங்க என்ன பண்ணனா, we can define the life cycle rule. Suppose delete the expired object or delete markers. Delete markers நம்ம ஆல்ரெடி S3 ல பார்த்தோம். Delete expired object, delete marks are incomplete multiple. அப்படின்னா என்ன அர்த்தம்? I have to tell எப்போ I want to delete the object. So you can define all those things here. இங்க வர ஒரு 4 நாள் நான் பயன்படுத்தாம இருந்தா நீ என்னுடைய ஆப்ஜெக்ட்டை delete பண்ணிடு. ஒரு வாரம் பயன்படுத்தாம இருந்தா you can able to delete. delete markers-ஐயும் delete பண்ணலாம். thereby we can get the backup, right? திருப்பி அந்த டேட்டாவை திருப்பி எடுத்துட்டு வரலாம், right? Suppose இங்க S3 நம்ம என்ன பண்ண முடியும், we can able to define the life cycle rule. Suppose if you are working, if you are the engineer, you are working for some client, consider like you are working for European client and he is asking, right, can you design one application? You are saying, right, yes, I can define the application. What they are saying, right, in S3 you are going to design one application. That application, you know, maybe the lot of customer, they will interact with that and thereby you will send the message, right, to the customer will send the message to you. Now what they are saying, if for first 30 days, whenever you get any message from the customer, you have to inform to the client. I will repeat again. Suppose you are the engineer, you are designing one application for European people. So what the country is saying, a customer will interact with this application. So you have a message logs, right? Those message log, every day you have to send it to me. Every day you have to send it to me. For first day, 30 days, they need to get frequently. But after 30 days, you no need to send the message to me. Instead, what you can do, you can store that historical data in S3 bucket itself. After 30 days, you no need to send the message to me. Just to save it in the what? Just to save it in S3 bucket itself for 1 year. The historic for future purpose. Like that, you have to design the application. Like that, you have to design the application. Now tell me, guys, which storage class you will go for? Can you confirm which storage class you will select? We'll see. Do you want me to repeat the question or you are clear? If you are clear, tell me which storage class you will go for. நான் தமிழ்ல சொல்றேன் பாருங்க. நீங்க ஒரு கிளையண்ட்டுக்காக ஒர்க் பண்றீங்க, அவங்களுக்காக ஒரு அப்ளிகேஷன் ரெடி பண்றீங்க, அதுல நீங்க கஸ்டமரோட மெசேஜ்ல பேச போறீங்க. அவங்க சொல்றாங்க எவ்ரிடே நீங்க என்ன கஸ்டமர்கிட்ட பேசுறீங்க, கஸ்டமர் உங்ககிட்ட என்ன பேசுறாங்களோ அந்த மெசேஜை எனக்கு அனுப்பிடணும்னு சொல்றாங்க. ஃபர்ஸ்ட் 30 நாளைக்கு. 30 நாளுக்கு பிறகு நீங்க எனக்கு அனுப்ப வேண்டிய அவசியம் இல்லை, S3ல ஸ்டோர் பண்ணி வச்சுக்கோங்க. ஒரு வருஷத்துக்கு அப்புறம், ஒரு வருஷம் மட்டும் எனக்கு அந்த ஹிஸ்டாரிக்கல் பர்பஸ்க்காக எனக்கு தேவைப்படுது, ஒரு வருஷத்துக்கு அப்புறம் delete பண்ணிக்கோங்க அப்படின்னு சொல்றாங்க. Now இல்ல delete பண்ணிக்கீங்க, ஒரு வருஷத்துக்கு அப்புறம் எனக்கு அனுப்புறா போதும், ஏதோ ஒண்ணு. Now tell me which storage class you will go for. Hello.
Yes.
Now tell me. So which storage class we can select for first 30 days, after 30 days? ஃபர்ஸ்ட் 30 நாள் எந்த ஸ்டோரேஜ் கிளாஸ் செலக்ட் பண்ணுவீங்க? அடுத்த 30 நாளைக்கு அப்புறம் ஒரு வருஷத்துக்கு நம்ம டேட்டாவை ஸ்டோர் பண்ணணும்னா S3ல எந்த ஸ்டோரேஜ் கிளாஸ் செலக்ட் பண்ணுவீங்க? S3ல
ஆஃப்டர் 30 டேஸ்க்கு நம்ம ஸ்டாண்டர்ட் ஐஏ யூஸ் பண்ணலாம் சார். இன்ஃப்ரீக்வெண்ட் ஆக்சஸ் தேவை. ஏன்னா அது 1 இயர்.
இன்னொரு டெர்மினாலஜி என்ன சொன்னேன்? கிளேஷியர்.
ஸ்டாண்டர்ட் கிளேஷியர்.
அப்ப ஸ்டாண்டர்ட் எப்ப போலாம்? ஃபர்ஸ்ட் 30 டேஸ்க்கு. ஏன்னா ஃபர்ஸ்ட் 30 டேஸ்க்கு நான் என்ன பண்ண போறேன்? ஃப்ரீக்வெண்டா அந்த ஆப்ஜெக்ட்டை ஆக்சஸ் பண்ணிட்டே இருக்கணும். அப்ப நம்ம எதை போலாம்? ஸ்டாண்டர்ட் போலாம். 30 டேஸ்க்கு அப்புறமா நான் எதுவும் ஃப்ரீக்வெண்டா ஆக்சஸ் பண்ண போறது இல்லை. Now I can go for glacier, right? Guys, are you clear or not?
Yes, Dinesh.
Cool. இப்போ இந்த மாதிரி நம்ம என்ன பண்ணணும்? You have to define the life cycle rule. அப்ப life cycle rule you have to define. இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு நீட் வருதுன்னா you have to define the life cycle rule. Any questions so far? What is life cycle rule, life cycle management or life cycle rule in S3?
Sir, அப்போ more than 1 year storing 5 years or
அதே
10
தான்
years.
மோர் தென் 1 இயர் இருந்தாலும் சரி 10 இயர்ஸ் இருந்தாலும் சரி நீங்க இன்ஃப்ரீக்வெண்டா ஆக்சஸ் பண்ண போறீங்க ஒன்லி ஹிஸ்டாரிக்கல் பர்பஸ்க்காக மட்டும் தான் தேவைப்படுதுன்னா யூ கேன் சேவ் இட் இன் S3 itself. நான் ஜஸ்ட் 1 இயர்ன்றது மென்ஷன் பண்ணேன் ஒரு எக்ஸாம்பிளுக்காக.
Okay.
அந்த நம்பர் நான் எக்ஸாம்பிளுக்காக சொன்னேன். அந்த நம்பர் எந்த AWS டாக்குமெண்டேஷனும் கிடையாது. நான் என்ன சொல்றேன்னா ஃபர்ஸ்ட் 30 நாளைக்கு என்னுடைய கிளைண்ட் என்ன சொல்றான்னா நீ வந்து சேவ் பண்ணி வச்சு எனக்கு கண்டினியூஸா அப்டேட் பண்ணிட்டே இரு, 30 நாளைக்கு அப்புறம் எனக்கு அப்டேட்லாம் பண்ண வேண்டாம், நீ சேவ் பண்ணா போதும் அப்படின்னு சொல்றானா நான் எந்த டைப்புக்கு போனா காசை கம்மி பண்ணலாம் அப்படின்னு கேட்கிறேன். அப்போ ஸ்டோரேஜ் கிளாஸ் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஸ்டாண்டர்ட் யூஸ் பண்ணா ஃப்ரீக்வெண்டா ஆக்சஸ் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கேன். 30 நாளைக்கு அப்புறமா நான் S3லே இருந்தா போதும், ஹிஸ்டாரிக்கல் பர்பஸ்க்காக ஃபியூச்சர்ல ஏதோ ஒரு தேவைக்காக மட்டும் போய் பார்க்க, அப்போ இன்ஃப்ரீக்வெண்ட் ஆக்சஸ் தான் வருது. அப்படிதான் கிளேஷியர் போலான்னு சொல்றேன். Clear? Clear?
Yes, Dinesh.
Okay.
Right. Any doubts so far? There are two storage classes. நான் பேசுனது அதுக்கு அடுத்து நம்ம பேசுனது life cycle rule in S3. Any questions so far? If you don't have any question, we can go for next theoretical topic.
கண்டினியூஸா ஆக்சுவலி யூஸ் பண்ணா நம்ம ஸ்டாண்டர்ட் யூஸ் பண்ணணும்.
Exactly. ஆமா.
ரொம்ப ஆஃபனா யூஸ் பண்றோம்னா கிளேஷியர் யூஸ் பண்ணணும்.
ஆமா, கரெக்ட், எக்ஸாக்ட்லி கரெக்ட். ஆமா, அது மூலமா we can save the money. ஒருவேளை இதை நம்ம ஆட்டோமேட் பண்ணணும் அப்படின்னு நினைச்சா லைஃப் சைக்கிள் ரூல்ல போய் ஆட்டோமேட் பண்ணிக்கிறது நம்ம என்ன எதிர்பார்க்கிறோமோ.
ஓகே.
சரி, இப்போ டேட்டா கிளேஷியர்ல இருந்து ரிட்ரீவ் பண்ணும்போது சார்ஜஸ் ஆகுமா சார் அதுல?
கண்டிப்பா அதுக்கும் நம்ம டேட்டா டிரான்ஸ்ஃபருக்கு காசு இருக்கு, பட் இட் இஸ் வெரி மினிமல்.
ஓகே.
கிளேஷியர்ல இருந்தாலும் நம்மளால டேட்டாவை ரிட்ரீவ் பண்ண முடியும். and we can able to retrieve. அதனால நம்ம worry பண்ண வேண்டிய அவசியம் இல்லை. We can retrieve the data whenever it is required. Right. அடுத்த டாபிக் ரொம்ப முக்கியமான டாபிக் கூட இன்டர்வியூ பாயிண்ட் ஆஃப் வியூல என்னன்னா கிராஸ் ரீஜியன் ரிப்ளிகேஷன் அப்படின்னு ஒரு டாபிக். கிராஸ் ரீஜியன் ரிப்ளிகேஷன். நான் உங்களுக்கு ஒரு விஷயத்த சொல்றேன், ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கோங்க. பேசிக்கா கேரக்டரிஸ்டிக்ஸ் ஆஃப் யுவர் S3 என்னன்னா, S3 ஓட கேரக்டர் என்னன்னா, இட் இஸ் ஹைலி அவைலபிள் கைஸ். இட் இஸ் ஹைலி அவைலபிள் சர்வீஸ். ஹைலி அவைலபிள் சர்வீஸ் எப்படி சொல்றேன்? See, when we create S3, when you create S3, basically we will select the region. Do you remember when we create a bucket, we will select the region? Did you remember that one? We will select the region. Automatically global ஆயிடும். I think உங்களுக்கு ஞாபகம் இருக்குன்னு நினைக்கிறேன், இல்லைன்னா திருப்பி ஒரு வாட்டி சொல்றேன் பாருங்க. ஸோ நீங்க ஒரு பக்கெட்டை கிரியேட் பண்றீங்க, கிரியேட் a bucket அப்படின்னு கொடுத்த உடனே you will see the region, right? இங்க நம்ம ரீஜன் கொடுக்கணும். இந்த இடத்துல பாருங்க குளோபல்ல இருக்கு. So you have to select the region. When we create a S3 bucket, you have to select the region also. So in the region, the data, that will be reflected into 2 or more availability zone, guys. Remember, அதனாலதான் S3 நம்ம என்னன்னு சொல்றோம்? It is the highly available service னு சொல்றோம். When you create an S3, right, your objects will be available in 2 or more availability zone. Suppose even if you miss one availability zone, you can able to get the data from another availability zone. That's the default characteristics of your S3. So AWS will make a copy of object in multiple availability zone. But there is an exception, guys. Here we have there is one problem. There is one exception. In S3 itself, we have one storage class called one zone infrequent access storage class. One zone infrequently access storage class. It is available. Inside your S3. We already done, right? S3 standard, S3 glacier. We have one more storage class. S3 one zone infrequent access storage class. So here you have an object, only one copy of object in one region, one copy of object in one availability zone. So don't think like it will be distributed into multiple availability zone. No, your data will be available in only one availability zone. Only one, even though you are selecting the region, yes, but the data is available in only one availability zone. So this time you may, feel like whenever if you are focusing on lower cost, you don't want your data should be available in multiple availability zone, then better to go for S3 one zone. That way, even in EFS itself, we have seen two storage class, right? One is standard and one zone, the same day. In S3, we have many, classification. We already covered standard and glacier and one zone. Now, the question is, I'm not talking about this one. I'm talking about cross-region replication. Can I able to replicate my data or replicate my objects into multiple region, not multiple availability zone, multiple region? Why we need to replicate our data into multiple region? Because it's a backup, right? It's a whenever if we have a disaster recovery, when we have a disaster, then we have to recover, right? My data from some availability zone. So for that reason, in AWS, in S3, we have a concept called CRR. CRR means cross-region replication. So cross-region replication, it allows, automatically replication of your data from one S3 bucket to another bucket in different AWS region. Suppose you have one region, say North Virginia is one region. Inside the North Virginia region, you have created one bucket. Now, if you enabled your cross-region replication, automatically, whenever you do something on this bucket, it will be replica on another region. If you create a bucket, this source, whatever the operation that you are doing, that will be automatically, you can see it here also. This is called as cross-region replica. We can call on this. So, it allows, yeah.
Sir, it will replica on only in region or different types of availability zones, sir?
Region is in region only we have in many availability zone. In
Yes,
default, your data will be in multiple availability zone.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But
I'm
it will
talking about
replica in
between the
only
region.
region or only region, sir? Only
Yes.
regions.
Yes, between the region, correct.
Yes.
Again, where the availability, even we don't know, right, where the availability zones are exist and all. That and all will take care AWS. We don't know where the, only we know region, we don't know availability zone and all. Nikhil, are you clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So what I'm saying, with your cross-region replication, we can have a copy of your data in a different region. For what? For the disaster recovery, for maybe a lower latency, or maybe any particular requirement. In that case, you can enable your CRR. But remember few points actually. CRR is a bucket level configuration. CRR is a bucket level configuration. We need to enable your CRR for each source bucket. We need to enable CRR for each source bucket. Don't think like in a single shot we can able to CRR. No, it is a bucket level configuration. So once you enable CRR for each source bucket that we want to replicate, and also we need to create a destination bucket in a different region. And also we need to create a destination bucket in a different region than the source bucket. So we can replicate all objects in the source bucket to replicate into the another object. So suppose if you, yeah, tell me.
So like if I upload in the in the bucket, so it will automatically replicate in Mumbai.
Not bucket, object, right?
Yeah, object.
Yeah.
Object,
when we choose to replicate object like metadata or access control list and the object tags, by default, only the object itself is replicated. Are you clear?
So it is possible, yes, sir. So it is possible only through source source to destination, not destination to source, right?
No. Source to destination, not destination to source. Here only we have to select, right? Which one is source, which one is destination. If you select, if you think like Mumbai is the source, you have to consider like that's a source.
Okay.
So you need to have the appropriate permission actually to create and configure the bucket and enable the CRR and perform other action related to S3 replication. Again, guys, there is a cost associated with the cross-region replication because we are charged for data transfer between the region. When you transfer the data between the region, you have to pay the money. And storage in the destination bucket, for that also you have to pay the money. And the request made to the destination bucket, that also it will take care. So overall, cross-region replication is S3, where we have a more maybe availability, right? So it has a more availability. Let's say we have an application that stores images and videos in an S3 bucket located in Virginia region, North Virginia region, that you want to ensure like your data is replicated in the Oregon. I want to, replicate that particular data in the Oregon region. Now, to set up your cross-region replication, what you need to do first? You should create a S3 bucket in Oregon, right? You have to create a S3 bucket in Oregon and configure it as the destination bucket. Then you should enable the cross-region replication on the source bucket in the North Virginia. And you have to specify where is the destination bucket that you have to mention. Now, what will happen, right? Whenever a new images and video are uploaded to your source bucket in the North Virginia region, they will be automatically replicated to your destination bucket in the Oregon region. That ensure, you have a copy of your data in a different region for, disaster recovery purpose. For an example, if there is a major outage in the North Virginia, that affects your source bucket, right? So you can switch over to the replicate data in the Oregon region and to keep your application running smoothly without any data loss. That can help, a continuity of your business operation and provide a better experience for your customers, for your users. So that's the idea behind your cross-region replication. Everyone clear? What is cross-region replication?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, if you don't know, I will explain. Can you tell me once again? If you have any question, you can tell me. It is an interview question, guys. People might ask, hey, whenever you consider like for disaster recovery, what you will do? You guys can tell if you select S3 bucket where we have a cross-region replication and all. When you use that one, yes, of course, you can have the copy of data from the one region to another region. That's the idea behind it. Right. Okay, so I hope you are clear with this cross-region replication. Then, so far what I have done, I spoke about the three topics. One is the storage class and life cycle rule we have covered. The third one is cross-region replication. Now there are one more concept. It is your interview point of view. You can expect at the time of interview. What is server access logging? Server access logging. Server access logging. So this is, you can find it, I think, inside the bucket. Click on this and click on this. I think under the properties, you can see this option. I think so. Let's see. Yes. Server side encryption, metadata. Is there any logging? Server side encryption is available. And under properties. Here, server access logging. Server access, yeah. Here we have server access logging. In default, server access logging is disabled. If you want to edit it, you can click on this and you can enable them. But my question is, maybe let's not focus about the server access logging. And now tell me, what is in the log space? What do you think from this terminology? What is logs? Guys, what is meant by logs?
Events என்னெல்லாம் ஜெனரேட் ஆகுதோ அதெல்லாம் ஒரு லாக்ல வந்து கேப்சர் ஆயிட்டு இருக்கும் டெக்ஸ்ட் ஃபைல்ல.
Exactly, correct. You are correct. Exact. So records, correct, Sam. Correct. Here, logs maybe in simple term, maybe can I call it as a messages? Logs are messages. Logs are messages. So it is maybe like application or maybe a server is generating. Your log basically generated by your application or server or any framework that you are using. It is a kind of a message, right? So why do I need the logs, guys? So basically, you know, in logs, it will give you about the information it will give you and any errors that you can able to see it. And suppose if you want to see some kind of warning that you can see, so any success that also I can able to see. Okay, now tell me, what is the purpose of logs? Why do we need the logs? What's the one important thing? Logs, why? Mostly logs is for what?
To identify what kind of error or
Exactly.
what kind
Yes.
of warnings.
Yes. So to understand or to troubleshoot, maybe logs can be used to troubleshoot or maybe debug. If you want to debug your error, debug your issue, a troubleshoot, mostly we will go for log. So that's the fundamental, right? Whenever if you consider like logs is to troubleshoot or debug your application or code. Let's say you have an S3 bucket. You have an S3 bucket that contains some sensitive, you know, customer data. That contains some sensitive customer data that is accessed by you know, multiple application and user. Right? Let's say you have some sensitive customer data and that is accessed by multiple user and multiple application. You want to track all the access to the bucket, right? You have to track all the access to the bucket to make sure like whether the data is secure and comply with the regular implementation, right? So for that, what I need to do, right? So to do this, we have to enable the server access logging, guys. Server access logging. When you enable the service access logging on the bucket, what will happen? Whenever you access that particular object, or whenever you edit that particular object, or whenever you delete that object, everything will be configured to write a log record to a separate S3 bucket that is dedicated for storing your logs. Suppose if someone is accessing that particular log file, someone is editing, someone reading, someone deleting. So you are accessing, right? So where can I see that one? Today, you know, maybe 10 developers in the company, they're all using the same bucket. Who made the changes? Just I need to understand, right? For that reason, maybe what I can do, I can enable this service access log, right? So thereby, you specify, you know, the format of the log record and the information that should be included in the log, like requester IP address and the time they have requested and what is the status code, HTTP status code it is written, and how much data that has been transferred, everything we can able to capture with the help of your server access log, right? So once you enabled your service access log, what will happen? S3, you know, that will create a log record each time an object in the bucket is accessed. When you access this object, that will be written in the logs file. This log record, you know, will be stored in the S3 bucket, right? So thereby later, if there is a problem, you can view the logs. Are you clear? What is the purpose of log?
Yes, there is.
So the logs, server access log, it's maybe I can say platform or tool for monitoring or securing who is accessing, what they have accessed, how much data they have transferred, everything. We can secure our S3 resources. S3 resources. So for that reason, we are all going for log. It is not only in S3, guys. Everywhere we have a log. Log, the purpose is, it is to troubleshoot. It is to monitor your S3, your resources. Any questions so far? What is this one? Server access logging.
No, Dinesh.
The last, important part with respect to S3 bucket, which is encryption. Encryption. Again, can you tell me what is mean by encryption? Why do we need to go for encryption? Can you tell me what is encryption first of all? Yeah, I can able to tell you. Tell me. What is the purpose of encryption?
To give access, sir.
Safety purpose.
Safety. Okay, safety. What else?
Security.
Yes, it's a security and safety. Yeah, we can tell. Okay. What is the main fundamental with respect to encryption? Why we need to do the encryption?
So that
Or
other
what is
can
encryption? First of all, what is encryption?
Data will be encrypted and
Okay.
it will not in a readable format.
Yes, yes, correct. You are correct. So it is the process of converting. It is a process of converting maybe a plain text or maybe data into a code or cipher, anything you can call. Yeah, cipher that cannot be read without the key or password needed to decrypt. That's nothing but an encryption. Suppose you have some data, maybe you have some data. Any data you can take. Suppose if you have some images, when you use some tool and you are trying to encrypt, when you encrypt, right, that will be converted into different format. So that will be converted into different format like this. It will be different format. When you see this format, will you able to see that image? No, right? What you guys can do, maybe that I want to. Okay, let me take one good example. Suppose I have some image. What I'm doing, I am transferring this image. I'm transferring this image to my friend, a friend. But before transferring, what I am going to do, this image over the network only I'm transferring it, maybe through the WhatsApp or hike and all. That I'm thinking like, hey, whether someone will hack this data. For that reason, let me convert this image and I'm going to encrypt this image into unreadable format, into different format, some other format. And for that time, I will get some password. This password I'm going to tell to my friend. Now this friend, in order to decrypt that image, he can put the password into that particular file. Thereby, he can be able to see my image. Right? Only me and my friend knows the password. Other people don't know that password. Please be on 1 minute. sorry guys. So what I'm saying, here only me and my friend knows the password, right? So this is where we can have the, protect our data. So encryption is nothing but it is used to protect your information, the sensitive information from unauthorized access, and to maintain any confidentiality and data privacy. For that reason only we are going for your encryption. Are you clear what is encryption?
Yes, Dinesh.
Yes. Did you remember guys in S3 bucket also, when we you create an EC2 instance, we were working with Windows machine. For that time, I have my right, a private key in my local machine, and we have connected through your remote desktop. For that, did you remember we have clicked on decrypt password and we have given the password and we got one password, right? So that's
Yes,
also a
yes,
mechanism behind this one. That's a kind of encryption.
Okay.
Yeah. So in S3 also we have several options like to provide or encrypt our data to help any unauthorized access and all. So there are two types of encryption used by your is S3. One is server side encryption. Server side encryption. Server side encryption. And another one is client side encryption. Client side encryption. So server side encryption and client side encryption. Server side encryption is nothing but after my data stored on server. So server side encryption is nothing but after my data is stored in server. Then we have a server side encryption. Client side means maybe data is flight. Data is flight that time. Suppose S3 can encrypt your object using server side encryption. So let me take some example. Suppose you have one object. That you have uploaded into the bucket. Then after that, after data is stored on the server, what will happen? Your object will be converted into different format. When is a different format? Different format means encryption. It is scrambled, guys. Simple. It is scrambled into a different type. A kind of a masking. Or you are securing your data, right? You are securing your data. So after data is stored into the server, your AWS will take care of this encryption if you enable your encryption. That's nothing but a server side encryption. So S3 will encrypt your object using the server side encryption. Are you clear what is server side encryption?
Yes, Dinesh.
Guys, in server side encryption in S3, we have a three option, guys. One is server side encryption via your S3, SSC-S3, and another one is SSC-KMS. I think key management system, and SSC-C. Like that, we have a many options. So if I talk about SSC-S3, it is when we choose this option, S3 manages the encryption key on behalf of using any symmetric keys. We have something called symmetric keys. So that is in default AWS will take care. And we have one more option we can select, KMS. KMS means key management service. So you can use your own encryption key or use the default key provided by the AWS KMS. KMS is another service from AWS. When you use this one, it will generate one key, guys. Through that, you can able to log in. Or otherwise, you can go for some Excel device where we have a key management service is one of the service. Using that, you can able to generate one key. That key, you can use it for encryption. Either you can create a key or you can use the AWS service, which is called KMS. Right? Now, when you type KMS is one of the service actually. In order to generate a key, in order to encrypt your key, you can go for key management service. Using that, you can able to encrypt your key. Or otherwise, you can go for SSC-C. That is the server-side encryption by the customer. The customer provided the encryption key. When we use this option, we provide your own encryption key to S3 to use it for encrypting or decrypting your object. So either AWS itself will take care, or otherwise you can go for other service which is called KMS, or you can generate your key for encrypting and decrypting. In the interview, people ask what they will ask, right? So what are the three different ways thereby we can able to encrypt your data? One is by S3 itself, SSC S3. Another one is using a third-party service or external service which is called KMS. And third one is you guys can generate your key for encrypting and decrypting using various tools, whatever that you want, which is called customer provided encrypted. Are you clear?
Yes, Dinesh.
This one, after the data is uploaded into the server, that's the reason it is called server-side encryption. When I say server, S3 is the server. After data is uploaded into the server, you can encrypt your data by using either of them. Either by you or using different service or by AWS. Now, what is client-side encryption? Client-side encryption. Here also you will encrypt your data. Here also you will encrypt your data. But before the data is uploaded to S3, data is flight. So before data is uploaded to S3, the first step is you have to encrypt the data, then only you have to upload. So with the help of your client-side encryption, you can encrypt your data on your own device using your own encryption key or any third-party key management service, and then you have to upload to the S3. It is not like after uploading to the S3, you are enabling the encryption. No. Before uploading the data to the server, you have to encrypt your key. So that's nothing but a client-side encryption. Any questions so far? What is server-side encryption? What is client-side encryption? Everyone confirm server-side encryption and client-side encryption. After data is uploaded to the server, before data is uploaded to the server. Any question here?
No, sir.
Okay, fine then. See, in S3 itself, you can find the encryption also. Let me check where the encryption is. Buckets, is there any bucket? Click on this and encryption, I think properties, encryption. Yes. So here we have encryption. In default, server-side encryption is automatically applied to new objects stored in the bucket. So when can you see here, when you click on this edit, here we have Amazon S3 management key. Either Amazon will take care or you can go for third-party service, which is called KMS, that you can go for. Now, let me click on this info. When you configure your default encryption for an Amazon S3 bucket, we can use either server-side encryption with Amazon S3 managed by a key or the server-side encryption with the AWS key management service. With the default encryption, Amazon S3 uses one of the strongest block cipher, 256-bit advanced encryption standard to encrypt your each object uploaded to the bucket. So with SSC KMS, we have more control over your key. If you use SSC KMS, you can choose an AWS KMS customer management key or use the default AWS management key. The only thing is you have to remember, in server-side encryption, there are three ways. Either you can go for S3 itself, or you can go for KMS, or you can go for your own key that you have to select. So this and all you can expect at the time of interview. Only for interview point of view, you have to remember this encryption. In every service of AWS, you can see this encryption. And they will ask you what is server access logging. So server access logging, the main purpose of server access logging is, it is to capture. See. So if you click on this, what they have given. Server access logging provides a detailed record for the requests that are made to a bucket. It will give you what kind of requests that you made it on bucket are used for many applications. For an example, access log information can be useful in security and access audit when quality check. It can also help you to learn about your customer base and understand your Amazon S3 bill and all. Everything you can able to get it. So it will provide the target name and prefix, IP address, everything you can see it inside the logs itself. So if you have a time, you can learn these notes and all. Thereby will get more time, more advantage, right, with respect to internet. Now remember only one thing, for troubleshooting only, we are going for server access logging. You can see the complete logs when you enable this one. And we have covered one more topic, which is cross-region replication. That is for the disaster recovery. And one more topic we have covered, which is life cycle rule. That is to transitioning an object from one storage class to another storage class. And if you want to delete the object, if you don't need any more to save the money, you can go for life cycle rule. And we have discussed the two important classifications with respect to storage class. One is the standard and another one is glacier. Any questions so far? If you have, tell me. Everyone?
No, Dinesh.
Okay, fine. All right then, no issues. Okay, so we'll see tomorrow, guys. I will start tomorrow another AWS service. This is enough, guys, with respect to S3. Only whatever that I have covered, just to do practice, and also theoretical one, you just revise. So tomorrow I will start the another service, which is IAM, Identity and Access Management. So we'll start tomorrow. And so far we have done EBS, EFS, EC2 and S3 we have covered. So tomorrow we will talk about IAM. Fine. We'll see tomorrow, guys. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Dinesh.
Thank you.